My dad gave my sister everything: the cars, the house, even the family business, like she was the sun and I was just some shadow standing in the corner. And I lived my whole life believing that's how it would always be until the lawyer pulled out Grandpa's secret will. And suddenly Amanda's perfect little smile cracked like glass, and for the first time, the room belonged to me. Let me tell you how it all went down, because trust me, it's not the kind of story you forget. My name's Ethan Miller, and growing up in that house felt like living in two different universes under one roof. Amanda, my sister, she was treated like royalty. Dad practically built an empire around her happiness. New cars for birthdays, shopping trips whenever she felt like it. Even the family business thrown her way before she'd finished college. To him, Amanda was golden, flawless. And me? I was invisible. I stocked shelves at the grocery store, patched up my beat-up truck with duct tape, worked nights to cover school fees, and still got told I wasn't working hard enough. Every good grade, every honor I scraped out, none of it mattered. Dad would shrug, say, "That's what you're supposed to do," then turn back to bragging about Amanda's latest designer bag. You know what I mean? Like no matter how hard I tried, I'd never measure up. Amanda knew it too. She reveled in it, dangling keys to her new ride in my face while mocking my rusty truck, calling me the spare, like my only purpose was to make her shine brighter. And Dad laughed along, like it was all some cute family joke. The only one who tried to patch up the holes was Mom, Margaret. She slipped me extra food when I was broke, whispered encouragement when Dad wasn't listening. But her voice was always drowned out. Funny thing is, the one person who truly saw me wasn't even in that house. It was Grandpa Henry. He lived modestly, tinkering with old cars in his garage, sipping coffee on the porch, telling stories about when patience mattered more than pride. With him, I wasn't the spare. I was just Ethan. He'd hand me a wrench, say, "Take your time, don't rush, life's the same way." Those afternoons in his garage, covered in grease, listening to his quiet wisdom, they kept me alive. Amanda never cared for him. She thought his world was too small. She barely visited, and when she did, she scrolled on her phone, barely muttered a word. Grandpa noticed. He never said much, but I could see the disappointment in his eyes. Then came the call. Grandpa had passed in his sleep. It crushed me. At the funeral, Amanda strutted in like it was her runway show. Sequin dress, dramatic tears, hogging every conversation about how much Grandpa adored her. Dad fed into it, praising her in front of the relatives, barely acknowledging me. I sat in the back, fists clenched, listening to the lies, remembering the hours in the garage that no one else seemed to know about. I thought, once again, she'd get it all. That's how life worked in my family. Weeks later, the lawyer, Mr. Collins, called us in. His office smelled like old books and dust. Amanda walked in smirking, already planning what she'd sell. Dad leaned over and told her loud enough for me to hear, "Don't worry, princess. It's all yours anyway." I sat silent, bracing myself for the usual disappointment. Collins read through the formal stuff first, small keepsakes to cousins and uncles. Amanda looked bored, twirling her bracelet like a queen waiting for her crown. Dad looked smug. And me? I was waiting for the hammer to drop. Then Collins paused. He pulled out another envelope. "There's a second will," he said, his voice calm but cutting through the room like a blade. Amanda's smirk froze. Dad leaned forward, confused. And then the bomb dropped. Grandpa had written a new will, just months before his death. He wrote that he couldn't ignore Richard's favoritism or Amanda's entitled behavior anymore. He valued humility, fairness, and hard work. And because of that, he was leaving the estate, the money, the controlling shares of the business. To me, the silence was deafening. Amanda's face drained of color. Dad sat back like the air had been punched out of him. And me? My heart was hammering, because I had expected nothing, and now I had everything. Amanda exploded, shouting that it was impossible, slamming her hand on the desk. He adored me. He wouldn't do this. But Collins slid the signed, witnessed papers across the table. It was airtight. And just when Amanda thought she'd at least get something, Collins added, "Henry Miller left Amanda a single item, a locket that belonged to her grandmother, with hopes it would remind her of humility and family." That was it. Amanda screamed. Dad looked at me with something I'd never seen before. Not disappointment, not anger. Feared out, of course. They didn't let it go. Amanda hurled accusations at me, said I tricked Grandpa, poisoned his mind. Dad urged her to contest it in court. They fought, but Grandpa had been careful. Every signature, every witness, even a video of him explaining why he chose me. I'll never forget watching Amanda's face as that video played. Grandpa's voice, steady and clear, saying, "Ethan has worked hard for everything. He never asked for favors. That's the kind of man I trust to carry the family name." The judge didn't hesitate. It was mine. Word spread. For years, the community believed Amanda was the golden child. Now they saw the truth. Neighbors who once ignored me shook my hand. Amanda's friends drifted away, tired of her bitterness. Dad, stripped of power, shrank into himself. They didn't need me to punish them. Their own arrogance did that. Months later, I sat on Grandpa's porch, the evening air quiet, the fields stretching out before me. I thought about all those years of being invisible, the sting of being called despair. And now, here I was, holding everything they thought was theirs. But instead of gloating, I felt peace. Grandpa hadn't just left me land or money. He'd left me justice. Amanda lives in a small apartment now, alone, no entourage, no applause. Dad can't even look me in the eye. Sometimes I wonder if losing it all taught them anything, or if pride just keeps them trapped. And maybe that's the real twist. Sometimes revenge isn't what you do to people. It's what life does to them when truth finally catches up. So tell me, do you think Grandpa was fair? Was it justice served, or was it too harsh? Because I'll be honest, I still sit on that porch at night and wonder what he'd say if he saw how it all turned out. Backhand index pointing right. What about you? Was he right to leave it all to me, or should he have split it, even after all the favoritism? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear every side. You'd think that after the will was settled and the court backed it up, life would quiet down, right? Yeah, that didn't happen. If anything, that's when the real storm started, because Amanda wasn't about to just walk away gracefully, and Dad, well, he wasn't used to being powerless. Let me back up a sec. See, when the ruling came out, people in town shifted their eyes. Neighbors who once praised Amanda suddenly saw through her. The same folks who used to pat Dad on the back now gave me nods of respect. It was subtle, but it mattered. And Amanda noticed every bit of it, which only made her more furious. She kept coming at me in waves. Some days it was rage, screaming in the driveway, accusing me of scheming, swearing she'd drag me through appeal after appeal until I was bankrupt. Other days it was tears, showing up at my door, mascara running, whispering about how we were still family and how Grandpa would want me to share. The whiplash was almost dizzying, but you know what? I didn't bend. For the first time in my life, I had the ground under me, and I wasn't going to give it up just because she was desperate. Dad was worse in a quieter way. He stopped yelling, stopped lecturing. Instead, he carried this heavy silence. Like every time he looked at me, he saw the reflection of everything he lost. He'd sit in his chair, staring off like the business he once controlled was a ghost hovering just out of reach. When he did speak, it was clipped, bitter. "You'll ruin everything he built," he told me once, his voice sharp but shaky. And for a moment, I realized he wasn't talking about Grandpa's legacy. He was talking about his own ego. And here's the twist I didn't see coming. Managing what Grandpa left me wasn't easy. I thought inheriting meant freedom, but it also meant responsibility. There were employees depending on those business shares, land that needed upkeep, choices that mattered to more than just me. Late nights I'd sit in that old study, papers spread out, feeling the weight of it all. But then I'd hear Grandpa's voice in my head. "Take your time, Ethan. Don't rush. If you rush, you miss what's important." So I learned, step by step, to carry it. Point one night, Amanda showed up again, not screaming, not begging, just quiet. She stood in the doorway of the estate, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. She said, "I don't know who I am without all of it." And for a second, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Because I remembered every time she laughed at me, every time she rubbed my face in being despair. Still, there was something about the way her voice cracked that stuck with me. She wasn't just angry anymore. She was lost. Dad, on the other hand, never softened. If anything, he hardened. He stopped coming around, except when Amanda dragged him. And when he did, he wouldn't stay long. He'd glance at the house, the fields, the business he no longer controlled, and I could see the bitterness eat at him. I realized then, sometimes losing power doesn't change people. It just exposes who they've always been. Months rolled on, and I found myself on that porch again, the one where Grandpa used to sit with his coffee, the horizon stretching out in gold and orange. For the first time, I felt something I'd never known in that family: peace. Not revenge, not triumph, just peace. I didn't gloat, I didn't chase their approval. I just breathed, and I swear, in that quiet, I could almost hear Grandpa chuckle, like he knew exactly how it would all play out. But here's where it gets tricky. People in town still argue about it. Some say Grandpa was right, that Amanda needed to be cut down, that I earned every piece of it. Others whisper that no matter how entitled she was, splitting things would have been fairer, that leaving her almost nothing was cruel. And honestly, sometimes I sit out there and wonder myself, did Grandpa's choice heal the family, or did it break it for good? So I'll throw it back to you. What do you think? Was justice served the way it should have been, or did Grandpa go too far with his final act? Because the story didn't just end when I got it all. It's still unfolding. Every time Amanda looks at me like I stole her crown, every time Dad turns away, every time I try to carry the weight of what Grandpa trusted me with. Backhand index pointing right, drop your thoughts in the comments. Should I have shared, or was this exactly how it was meant to be?